story from Sheep Smarts. It's in a chapter about other siblings, and this is about Abel's sister Dalia. And before I begin reading, I'm just going to point out that I'm nestled here between this pillow with this picture of a rooster on it and this blanket that has a rooster on it and other chickens. Yes, and you'll see what that has to do with this story. Okay, and this is called Dalia. Right before my 18th birthday, Mom gave birth to her 12th child, my sister Dalia. By the time I was 17, I had grown to reach the same height as Cain, and I could also match him in strength. For the last few weeks before Mom gave birth, Cain helped train me so I could support Mom for various birthing positions again. Only hopefully this time without cracking any ribs. It was only weird that he trained me by play wrestling with me during some afternoons and early evenings before supper. At least this gave us something to do together during the winter months to keep us warm as well as bond. Cain said it was good for him so that he would be ready to start breaking the ground when the planting season started. My herd didn't like to travel very far during the winter months, so I had more time to spend with my family. And some of our other siblings even liked to watch us. Callie and Melanie even made a flattened bed of hay in the yard so that we could wrestle on that and have something softer for padding our tumbles. Sometimes we even started incorporating bags the size of our hands or a little bit bigger, either bags made of woolen rags or leftover animal skins. Then the bags were filled with beans, rice, straw, or sand and sewn back together into little pillows so that we could throw or kick them around or try to catch them. The birth of human sports. It started as a way to keep warm during the winter months, but it also helped train us for our work during our off season. It was also a great way to bond with my siblings. It was even fun to get our much younger siblings involved in games, and our sisters wanted to play too. By the time Mom went into labor, I had the strength and the stamina to support her. I was still worn out and still crying tears of joy along with Mom and 13-year-old May. But I was even more excited to meet my newborn baby sister. Her name was Dalia. Her skin complexion started somewhat reddish and dusty brown when she was born, and it stayed that kind of reddish color as she got older. Some of my lighter-skinned siblings wondered, how can we tell if she's been in the sun too long? Or if she's feeling too hot? Mom would answer them, does she look like she's sweating? Does she look like she's sweating? Dahlia's hair was raven black in color and straight but thick in texture. Her eyes were a dark ebony brown, similar in color to Beau's. From a young age, Dalia became fascinated with all kinds of birds. When she was around 4 years old, the age when many of us started thinking about our professions, she started to notice that chickens were kind of like the sheep of the birds. Other four-legged animals seemed to bully the sheep, but many of the birds that could fly seemed to bully the chickens. So Dahlia made some nesting houses where the chickens could live in safety. She also gathered some leftover corn and sunflower seeds, as well as oats and berries for them to eat. She even made some nesting areas for ducks and geese, but some of them disappeared every year around the harvest and didn't return until the planting season in the early spring. Some years they would leave without us getting to say goodbye. Other years we might see them off. They always left in a southward direction, which is from where we would see them return in the spring. I always wondered what it would be like to follow them. Just where did they go during the winter? Other birds that preferred the ground to the air also joined Dahlia's bird sanctuary: turkeys, peacocks, and kiwi birds. If Dahlia ever found a wounded bird, she would try to nurse them back to health. Sometimes Lee would help her try to rehabilitate the bird, trying to help them relearn how to fly again. This was one of the reasons why he started building kites as a way for flightless humans to teach birds how to fly again. She noticed that Father God created such a variety of birds: large birds like ostriches, small birds like sparrows and hummingbirds, birds that could fly great distances like eagles and hawks, even ducks and geese, birds that mostly flew shorter distances like sparrows and jays. And there were birds that didn't fly at all, such as chickens, penguins, emus, and dodos. There were also animals that weren't birds at all that could fly: bats, flying squirrels, and flying foxes. But the same loving Creator created all of them. Some of the flying birds that stayed in Dahlia's sanctuary started out as wounded birds, but they nested in the trees in the canopy of the bird sanctuary once they healed. Her sanctuary grew to include pigeons, doves, parrots, macaws, cockatoos, and parakeets. Many of them looked alike or ran together to me, but Dahlia would correct me and continue to educate me about birds whenever I visited her bird sanctuary. "No, that's not a parrot. That's a macaw." My 30-year-old self shrugged. "Well, they still look alike to me. Don't you care for both in the same way?"